Hey there, this is Jacques from Heroes and Legends. Today we're going to do a Legacy Cube draft. I didn't get to do any Vintage Cube drafts this year, which is kind of sad. It's one of my favorite formats to play, but we got Legacy Cube going on. So let's look at that, and let's look at the first pack. A few things here. I mean, Elspeth catches my eye. It's a very good card in this cube, I think. Noble Hierarch, probably the best card in this pack, though. I mean, it ramps you, it color fixes, it has Exalted. I mean, it kind of does everything you want it to do, and it's a real good first pick. I don't remember this card in the cube. Seems decent, though, if you're trying to ramp into some big stuff. And it's a pretty big trample creature on its own. I don't know. I found, though, in Legacy Cube, unlike Vintage Cube, there's not a lot of, like, really big targets to ramp into that are really great payoffs. There's a few. But here, you almost want to ramp into more of a mid-range deck, which is totally fine. That can be a very good deck, too. So, I mean, having said that, I think Noble Hierarch's the pick. There's some good dual lands here, too, with Underground Sea and Hallowed Fountain. Those would not be horrible picks either. Alright, this pack, I don't see any dual lands this time around. Mirari's Wake is good. Again, there's not a million things to ramp into, but at least it also gives you the Anthem effect, which is kind of nice. And every once in a while, you know, there will be a payoff with the extra mana, too. Jace is good, because you do have the card advantage there. Sphinx's Revelation, good if you want to go really super tight control. I'd like to try Tireless Tracker in this cube, because I haven't yet. Gifts Ungiven is good if you can go Reanimator, but I'm probably picking that up after I already have other reanimation pieces, as opposed to trying to pick this up in the second pick. So we'll go with the Wake here. It's not a phenomenal pack, but there's decent stuff. Even Vindicate is a pretty good choice. Alright, Elish Norn stands out. Of course, we're going double white there. There's also Garruk, Wildspeaker, and I kind of like that. It plays along with the ramp really well. It's a Planeswalker. Planeswalker is really powerful in this particular cube. There's a lot of them, and a lot of times not a lot of great ways to get rid of them. So I am leaning towards Garruk here over Elish Norn, because my thought process is, at this point, maybe we're green and we're just splashing white. Maybe we're just splashing other colors. I still want to keep ourselves open. So I'm going to stay primarily green as long as I can. Here we have Merfolk Looter, probably power level. The best card here is going into another color, but it's early enough that's okay. Watergrave's a good choice. Temple of Mystery is a good choice. Kind of wish I could take the Mystery and the Looter. Regrowth is fine too. That'll probably wheel though. Alright, what do we have here? We got Nissa. Jamoka's Command. I like that because it is removal for green. There's not a lot of great removal for green. There's also Maelstrom Pulse in this particular pack. I mean, both would be fine. I kind of like Jamoka's Command a little better because it is cheaper, and of course it's in two colors we've already selected, and it has extra versatility tacked on. There's Angel of Inventions in the cube now. That seems okay. Not something I want to pick for double white, though, especially considering we didn't even take Elish Norn. Nissa is another decent choice, too. It's going to help you get another forest out. But, yeah, Jamoka's Command, I think, is the pick here. Harmonize sticks out to me here. It's actually a really good card for green. Having some card draw in green, especially the green concentrate, is very, very strong in this cube. There are some other opportunities like Sylvan Library and stuff like that, but this is really good. Of course, we have some more dual lands in this pack. Actually, 3 different ones. But I'm going to take the Harmonize here. Welfare Silverheart, at least, is a threat. We are kind of looking for threats right now at this point. We have a good base for maybe some mid-range ramp antics, but we don't really have anything to get to. So Silverheart's probably the key here. I mean, Thing on the Ice, really not for this deck so far. Abrupt Decay would be an okay choice, actually. But I'm going to go with Welfare Silverheart. We got a Nissa, but we have Sylvan Caryatid, which is awesome. Fixes your color, and the hexproof is a big deal, especially you always go up against a burn deck in this cube, and if you play like your Birds of Paradise, it could easily get burned out. You don't want to use those as crutches. Even the Noble Hierarch could be burned out real easy. So, yeah, Sylvan Caryatid is going to be a little more durable. Alright, we're back to this pack. I like Assembled Legion. I'm even interested in Voice of Hunger here, but I think the mature pick is probably the Wildwood, just because really it's 2 colors we need. We don't have any land fixing at this point. I mean, we have Noble Hierarch and Caryatid, but we really need to start thinking about our mana base. So, yeah, I think that's the right pick. This isn't really a birthing pod deck. Yeah, we don't have a lot of low drops. I don't know, Tireless Tracker, I'm going to try it out. Maybe I'll take that. Other than that, nothing else for us. Huntmaster, I could take. I'm probably not going to main deck it at this point, considering I don't want to go into yet another color, but we don't know where pack 2 and 3 are going to go, so it could very well be playable. It's a good mid-range threat. And Blossoming Defense is fine, but Regrowth is great, so we'll take that. It did wheel. Maelstrom Pulse wheeled, so did the Elder. I'm going to take Yavimaya Elder. Reclamation Sage is a good sideboard card. And Explorer is, well, okay. Probably won't play that, but the Reclamation Sage is probably a little better in like Vintage Cube. There's a lot of really strong artifacts in that cube, not as much here, but it's a good sideboard card in case you run into a threat. All right, pack 2. Well, Treachery stands out, but it is double blue. And we don't seem to be going in that direction. But it's a great card. Thrun would be great for this deck. That could wheel, though. Even Deathrite Shaman would be good, but what's really catching my eye, quite honestly, is the Wormcoil Engine. That's an awesome mid-range threat, mid-range in this deck, considering the ramp we have. And it's just hard to deal with. Even board sweeps don't really deal with it very effectively. I really like that card. Very good in this cube. I'm kind of sad we're passing the Treachery. I feel like that's maybe one of the most powerful cards in the cube, but I'm happy with this pick, actually. All right. Fact or Fiction, Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. Oh, Ancient Tomb. I think we kind of have to take Ancient Tomb here. We're lucky to get past this. Again, probably one of the more powerful cards in the cube. And it's perfect for what our deck's trying to do, just ramp into some mid-range threats. Excellent card for us. I like Frost Titan, of course. Den Protector is good. Woodfall Primus is good, but I don't really feel like we're an extreme ramp deck at this point. I might just take the Elves here because kind of is what we're doing. And we'll wheel something good out of this one. Some good cards here. Love Forbid. Sylvan Advocate is great for our deck. It's an early threat. We kind of need that, but it's even a late game threat. Lotus Cobra could be fine for us, but I got my eye on Garruk here, and Garruk's just great in this cube. A little expensive, but our deck can definitely wing it. I don't have any black yet, but I don't mind trying to splash black for this card because it's that good. There's so many Planeswalkers in this cube. Like I said, Garruk deals with Planeswalkers. If you can ultimate Garruk, you're in a good spot. Another Nissa. It's also Corsair Crewfix, though. That's a great, great card. I don't think we can pass that. We got another dual land here. We have Bloodbright Elf. Yeah, Nissa would be fine, but yeah, I'm going to go with Corsair, I think, here. Well, Bayou definitely catches my eye. That'd be good for Garruk. We have Mana Confluence. That's good too. I don't think there's fetch lands in this cube that I recall, so that makes the Confluence maybe a little better, but there are cards like Farseek, so I think maybe the Bayou is just a better pick still. So I think I will be taking that. I mean, there's the Ballads are a thing. Those will probably wheel. Managorger Hydra is actually probably decent in this cube. Not great in Vintage Cube, but pretty good here. And here's an Overgrown Tomb and Farseek. But since we have the Tomb, I'm probably taking the Tomb. Savala's in here. This card's real hot right now in Legacy, but again, I don't know, we're not trying to ramp into like huge things, so I don't know if this is necessary for us, and the other effect's symmetrical, so I don't know. I don't think it's great. It's not bad, but I don't think it's the best thing for this deck. I think I'd rather just get the mana base down. And again, I don't want to be in a situation where I have the mana to cast Garruk, but not the black mana. Another dual land with green-black. This isn't really a Tooth and Nail deck, so I'm just going to take Llanowar Elves. If I took the Woodfall Primus, maybe I would think harder about Tooth and Nail, but right now, again, we're just going mid-range. We shouldn't have any trouble casting our stuff. Good things wheeled for us here for sure. I think I want to go with Thrun, though. I want these threats, and really, I think at this point, as we get to the end of Pack 2, we just need more mid-range threats. And I mean, maybe a little more ramp, but I'm fine with just some more mid-range threats and some mana fixing, really, at this point. Yeah, I'm not going to play the Explorer. I don't think it's that good in this cube. And Merfolk Looter, not to say it's not a good late game play, but it is a little bit of a strain on our mana base, especially if it's one of our 2-drops. So I think we'll just put that in the sideboard for now. Nissa Voice of Zendikar. I mean, there's actually some good choices here. I like this. I mean, Shame is good because, again, color fixing and stuff, but we're not trying to ramp into huge things. Scavenging Ooze is a great sideboard card and deals with reanimation really well. But I think I'm going to go with Nissa here. I think Nissa is very underrated. Real cheap card, does a lot, protects itself well, easy to ultimate. Hissing Quagmire, I think, is where we're going. Should have no problems playing that Garrick now. And Sylvan Advocate, I think, is a little better for us right now than Lotus Cobra. Again, we just need some threats. Got another Nissa. This one's fine. I mean, it's actually pretty good. But we'll take her for now and Ballast. I mean, those last 2 picks, maybe we play them, maybe we don't. Just kind of depends how Pack 3 goes. We might be able to upgrade them with some better stuff, but Jace the Mind Sculptor. Okay, well, one of the best cards in the cube. Feel bad about passing it, like Treachery, but I don't really want to go into double blue, even though if there's any card probably worth trying to go into double blue in pack 3-4, it's probably Jace. But we also open Primeval Titan, which is perfect for this deck. It's a fantastic threat, gets us the lands for fixing. I can't not pick that. So even though I hate to pass Jace, I mean, the card's amazing, but I'm happy with this pick because this is like the perfect card for our deck, quite honestly, and it's not going to wheel. So yeah, it's good. Getting a Titan, really a second Titan if you count Wormcoil, is amazing for us. Sylvan Library, I would look at that harder if I didn't already have Harmonize. And you always go up against a burn deck, and I've found myself kind of getting myself in trouble with Sylvan Library in the past. So, I don't know. It's a good card. It's an awesome card. But, I don't know. In this cube, it's underperformed for me. And since I have Harmonize, if I didn't have that, I probably would take it. But instead, I like Deranged Hermit. I mean, the Catacomb Sifter's interesting. They'll probably wheel, though. But the Deranged Hermit could be good, especially now that we have Nissa. Okay, kind of like that. Okay, not a lot in this pack for us. Summoning Trap's fine, but again, it's better in other types of decks. Just secure a Tribe Elder. Man of War is actually the best card here, but don't really want to go into blue at this point. So, I don't know. I'll probably take the Tribe Elder. I'm probably not playing this one and the Yavimaya Elder. I think I'm probably going to play this one. I'd rather have the 2. I just need 2 drops more than I need 3 drops, I think. Even though Yavimaya Elder's a better version of the card, I'd rather go with the cheaper version. What's this do? Yeah, it's okay. 8's a little pricey, though, for that, I think. Because I don't really see us casting it for Emerge. We might. Fate's Fetters, that was in this pack, and that's awesome. Deals with Planeswalkers, deals with a lot of different types of threats. What else? I don't think we need another card like that. So, yeah, there you go. Birds of Paradise. That's actually pretty awesome for us. I like Dragonlord Tarka. I really like Mere Battlespear, though. That actually could be really cool in this deck. But I think I'm going to be disciplined and go with the birds. Because, I mean, we do have a fair amount of threats at this point. And the Battlespear does cost 7. It is colorless, though. We could easily swing it. It would be really good, but I want to make sure we get our colors and we don't have to wait on anything. There's Eldritch Deep Fiend. That card's interesting. Not really for us, though. And Garrick Relentless. This is a type of Garrick that is kind of disposable. Like, you take it out and you just go ahead and get rid of a creature, and then you can just kind of let it die if you need to. So to me, it's kind of like removal. I'm just going to take it. Master of the Wild. I always like this card, but it never seems to perform well for me in this cube. I think because it's a little fragile as a 3/3. I like Avenger of Zendikar, and it's actually pretty good with Nissa, but it's also a little more expensive, and it doesn't always pay off. Like, it's great, but I don't know. I'll pick it up. I don't know if I'm playing it, quite honestly. Again, it's a fantastic card, but in this cube, sometimes I feel like at the 7 spot it gets outclassed. Arbor Elf is good, but I don't think we need anything else like that. I mean, Great Sun Zenith is good. That would actually be a pretty decent pick for us, but I don't know, maybe I'll just take this for the sideboard in case we do run into color issues. I don't think we will, though. Terastodon could be a good pick for us, actually. I'm just going to put it in the sideboard for now, I think, but that's very playable. It has a powerful effect. It is expensive, but has a really good effect and deals with a lot of problems. Wow. Library Wield. Catacomb Sifter Wield. I don't know. I feel like I might take the Sifter. Like, again, Library's good. It's really good, but we have Harbonize, and I'm probably not playing either of the cards at this point, but and nothing great for us here. I mean, I could take Nixos and just have it. I mean, we have a lot of green mana symbols. I should mention, too, I don't think I did. This is a league, so hate drafting really doesn't do anything. So, just take that. Pride Mage, good sideboard card. Happy to take that at this point. Atarka. Again, I don't know if I'm playing Atarka. I mean, I think our mana base could support it, but I don't know. It's a good sideboard option, though. I'll just take the last couple cards here. Okay. So we do have some cuts to make. Like I said, I'm probably going to get rid of one of the Elders. Most likely the 3-drop. Birds I want to keep. I want to keep Elves. Both of the Elves. Yeah, all this stuff in the lower area of the deck I like a lot. Tracker maybe we cut, but I don't know. I want to play with Tracker. Yeah, let's just move the Elder out there. Okay, Face Fetters is real good. I don't want to get too top-heavy with this deck. I think right now we're a little too top-heavy. So, yeah, I'm just going to take out a couple of these at the 5-drop for right now. Yeah, the payoff for Garrick is just too good. I mean, Battleops isn't exciting for me, but I don't want to get rid of all our high-end threats either. Gotta be kind of careful. But we got the 2 Titans, if you count Wormcoil, right? Avenger, I don't know. Is there something better than Avenger? 7 is expensive for Avenger. I don't know. It's a great card. I mean, it's a good problem to have. We have a lot of great cards right here. So, maybe I'm just taking, instead of playing Avenger, maybe I'm just simply playing Deranged Hermit or a Tarka. Tarka, again, is a little bit of a stress on our mana base. Deranged Hermit, I think, is a pretty big payoff for 5 mana for us. Terastodon, also a possibility. Although, I feel like that's more of a sideboard card. Even a Tarka, maybe I board those in against matchups where they're going to be better. Because they do put a little more strain on the deck. But when I can go lean, maybe I just go lean, you know? So that's why I'm kind of thinking about Deranged Hermit. I mean, I kind of like everything down here in the lower portion of the curve. And now I don't feel like we're too top heavy at this point. We got a lot of 4-drops, though. That's the only thing that's slightly awkward. Deranged Hermit, though, is a 5-drop. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I'm going with it. Yeah, I don't know. Pelucanos is a nice 4-drop beater, but hasn't been that great for me in the past. Cultivate could help us fix. I don't think we need that. We have enough going on here, I think. Yeah, I just keep coming back to that Hermit. I think that's the best one here. Atarka looks good though too, but I think the right thing to do in this deck is go with the Hermit, and again use Atarka and Terastodon for sideboard purposes against certain matchups because they do become better in certain situations. We'll just try to go a little faster with this deck, I think. All right, yeah, I'm happy with it. It's actually a pretty good build, I think. I'm actually really excited to try this one out. So, yeah, we got to do our land base. I think we did a good job picking up a strong land base too. So let's see what we have here. All right. Wildwood's in. Overgrown Tomb. I don't know about Nixos. Probably not. It's okay, but I don't think it's great. Hissing Quagmire. Bayou. Yeah, we'll put those in. Of course, Ancient Tomb will go in. And Overgrown Tomb. I think that's good. We'll get our basics in. Ancient Tomb was a huge pickup. I mean, we can get into a fast Wormcoil Engine or something with that. Or Primeval Titan. And that's what this deck's trying to do. I mean, it is a ramp deck, but it's ramping into the mid-range. It's not trying to ramp into high-end stuff like you would see maybe in some of the Vintage Cube decks. Not to say you can't do that in Legacy Cube. I have done it, but it's not as consistent as it is in Vintage Cube. Vintage Cube just has a lot of artifact mana, and you can do some crazy things like Mana Vault and stuff like that. So, strategy here is just a little bit different. Alright, let's add our basics. Basically just want 1 plains. I think the rest forest. I think our duels cover everything else. Of course, we need 1 more forest. Our Magic Online glitch, it's been doing this lately. It gives you 1 less land than you need. So I need to add 1 more forest. Alright, that's the deck. So I will see you in round 1, and we'll see how this goes. I'm pretty excited about it, though. Alright, this is round 1, and we are going to play first. This is a great keep. It doesn't give us any threats, but hopefully we draw into something. It could be a little mana heavy, and that's the risk of the ramp decks. Sometimes you get just mana flooded, other times you get all your big cards, and you can't cast them. And that can be really awkward. So it kind of is what it is sometimes with these decks, but I'm okay keeping this, I think. It's not a snap keep, but you got your colors, and you don't want to kind of mess around with that, I don't think. Get Hierarch out there right away. And that's going to open up any possibilities of whatever we draw. Pretty likely we can get to quickly. So we just need to draw into some good threats at this point. If we don't, we might be in trouble. So, we'll see. More land, of course, right? Whenever you're flooded, no doubt, you're going to draw more land. Opponent's playing black. I mean, it could mean a lot of things. Could be Mono Black Devotion, could be Reanimation. I found that in this cube, the last couple of years that I played it anyway, black has not been very good. Reanimation decks can be really good, but you do have to get a nice pool together for them, or they can be inconsistent. And Mono Black Devotion just seems too slow. I've tried to play it in the past, and it just hasn't done well for me. We'll get in for 1. And play the Tribe Elder. Reason I went with Elder instead of the Carotid is because at this point our opponent doesn't have anything on the battlefield, so maybe we can attack in for a couple more points of damage if they don't play anything. But they play Pack Rat, so there you go. We can still attack in though, because they're not going to want to block with Pack Rat. And even if they do, we can sacrifice the Elder if we felt like we really need to. But at this point, I mean, I don't think we need any mana, so we don't actually have to. We could trade with the Pack Rat, but I really doubt our opponent is going to take us up on that. And Pack Rat could be dangerous. I mean, at this point, our opponent could just go Pack Rat, Pack Rat, Pack Rat, and we're going to have a hard time probably dealing with that. I mean, our draw here helps. This gives us a couple big creatures, at least temporarily. If I wanted to cash in the Tribe Elder, I could have actually played Wolfear this turn and linked it with Noble Hierarch, but I don't really think that's a great play. I'd rather just attack and get 2 points off my opponent and maybe offer the trade for the Pack Rat. And if they do trade, they lets us know what's going on, that the Pack Rat isn't their main plan. But I'd rather do this, because now next turn I can still group... Oh, Buried Alive. I can still Soul Link the werewolf to something and be in a good place, but that was before... Oh boy, here we go. How the cards that we have in our sideboard. Terastodon, Dragonlord, Atarka. And Emrakul's in there too. Okay. So, good chance our opponent has some sort of reanimation, and we're about to get beat down here. Well, we're a little flooded too, which doesn't help matters. But we have a decent creature that we can play that can actually stand up to an Atarka Blast, which is kind of nice. And also protects another one of our creatures from Atarka. I think I'm just going to go with the Elder, because I just want to get damage across. Best case scenario, I mean, our best chance of winning this game is our opponent doesn't have reanimation right now in their hand, and we're just going to have to win the game fast before they draw it, basically. That's our only hope at this point. If that doesn't happen, we lost. So, Atarka is probably not the best pick, but Terastodon could wreck us. I mean, they could take out all our creatures or a couple of our creatures in a land, or just simply two of our things, and then they still have the board state advantage, even if they can't reanimate a second thing, you know? So, I have a feeling it's coming. Opponent is down to 11, though. So they do have to be a little bit thoughtful. That's why I think they're going to take Terastodon. Oh, Victimize. They get two things. Nice. Okay. Another reason why they didn't chump block with that Pack Rat. There you go. So they can take what? Terastodon and Emrakul. Oh. Our opponent just conceded to us. I'm not sure why. Because they could have hit... I mean, we didn't have them dead. They could have taken out the Silver Heart, because that's really the only way we're doing damage. I'm not sure why that happened. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea. That's weird. Alright, yeah, I felt like they had us. And this is a rough matchup for us, quite honestly. Especially if their deck's going to work that lean. Pride Mage is good, because I'm assuming they have Animate Dead and probably Necromancy in their deck, so we didn't see it. We saw Victimize, which, that's the problem. We don't have anything against Victimize or like Dread Return. Like, to deal with sorceries, we're just stuck. So, if they're hitting Buried Alive, or even Entomb, and then hitting us with Sorcery Speed, there's also Unburial Rites too in this cube. So they're hitting us with that type of reanimation. I don't know if we can win this matchup in most cases. If they hit a good draw. If we hit a good draw and they don't, then of course we can always steal a game. And at this point we only need to win one game. But this is not a great matchup. So, alright, we'll bring in the Pride Mage, because that's going to help us against if we do see Animate Dead or Necromancy. That can be a big play for us then. Just gotta take something out here. Actually, well, I was thinking about putting in Reclamation Sage, because that also deals with one of those threats, but I'm just gonna go with the Pride Mage. I don't really want to take anything else out. Alright, well, I actually like this hand. Yes, it looks a little flooded, but with Ancient Tomb we can quickly play Harmonize, which will restock our hand, and hopefully we'll just be able to hit some big threat and be able to get some damage across. Our opponent mulligans to 6. Okay. Very powerful card with Garrick, but not as good in this matchup, because our opponent's not messing around with Planeswalkers, I don't think. I mean, it does allow us to put a Death Touch creature on the battlefield, but it doesn't really do much against, say, Atarka or Emrakul, for example. So that's a little annoying. So this card's not as good in this matchup as others, but it's still fine. Get up, there's the Wake, so again, could be a good support card if we survive. I could have played Harmonize there, but really I don't need to because I have another play and I'd have to discard. Granted, I could probably just discard a Forest or 2 and be fine, but no, here we go. Entomb. Still 2 mana up, so potentially they could actually, yeah, they're all set because they could have a 2 mana spell at this point. And they got Terastodon and Reanimate. So there you go. That's pretty much game. That was quick. So they can just knock out our 2 lands. Good choice. So I guess we're not harmonizing. Alright. We can chump block the thing a couple times, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get to an answer here fast enough. Well, this still lets us keep chump blocking. Could be worse draws. So, again, it comes down to this will make the game go longer. If our opponent just can't get anything else, then maybe we have a shot. But the longer the game goes, I mean, the advantage is definitely our opponent's deck. There's actually very few, like, really degenerative decks now in Legacy Cube. Like, they took out a lot of the combos that are like the 2-3 card combos, but Legacy Cube still has Reanimation. It still has a couple others, so it's tough when you do come up against one of these type of decks and the opponent can hit the right cards. It's gonna be tough to pull out sometimes a win, but our deck's capable of it until, of course, there we go. I'm buried alive. All right, so I don't even need to look. I assume they pulled a Tarka, Emrakul, and something else. Alright. Again, if they have another reanimation spell, we're in a lot of trouble. I mean, Tarka could pretty much decimate us. I'm just going to go ahead and give everything +1/+1 counter. Our opponent's at 11 after that last move, so what I want to do is just create a situation where our opponent has to really think about attacking in without having to deal with a sizable amount of power toughness on the battlefield. This also protects us a little bit against an Atarka move, so I'm going to go with that. And I still have a plant token to block with if I need to. And Harmonize did hit the Pride Mage. That might be relevant. We'll see in a second here. 4 mana. 4 black mana. Could be Dread Return, I imagine. Opponent's thinking about it, though. Well, if that's the case, we're kind of in trouble, because Pride Mage doesn't really do much against that. Another big threat on the board. I mean, I could give everything +1/+1 again, assuming Nissa survives. That does give me 2 5/5s. Yeah, Dread Return. Okay. So, Tarka, that's going to hurt. Yeah, they could hit the Hierarch. That kind of puts a strain on our mana base, which is probably one thing I would do in this case, yeah. Get rid of Nissa, and then just take out the plant token with the rest. Really hurts our board state, and we don't really have a way to defend ourselves against an 8/8 flyer. The only thing they have to consider is they are at 11. They probably just hold back Terastodon, and the best we can do at this point or at least following turn, hold back Terastodon, because this turn they have Dragon Lord as a blocker. I mean, I can block with a plant token, but then the best I can do next turn is get in with 5 if they hit me for 8, and then after that, I can't get in with anything. So, yeah. Unless we draw into something really great here, I think they got us. The other thing that's awkward too is if I was able to deal with one of these threats somehow, then there's still a couple creatures away, like a pack rat away, really, from being able to flashback Dread Return, which is not great for us. So Garrick doesn't really do a whole lot here, other than make... I mean, it does make blockers. But I think the Dragon Lord Atarka is really our biggest problem. We really don't have an answer for that. Again, if I can find a way to survive, then Garrick gets better, but I don't even think, do we have anything in our deck that can even hit Dragon Lord Atarka? I mean, Jamoka's command could if we had something large on the battlefield, which we don't. So, the only thing we could do is make him think twice about attacking with it by getting enough power and toughness on the board, but we're not quite there yet. Alright, Necromancy. Now that we can actually answer... So that's not the worst thing in the world. But it is going to take our turn to answer it. Emrakul. Okay. Yeah, this is just a beating at this point. Alright, so... So if I get rid of Emrakul next turn... I could attack in, but I don't think it's doing enough. I mean, I could hit the opponent for 7, but then it doesn't really matter at that point because I can't finish them off the following turn, and I need to win within 2 turns or stop Dragon Lord Atarka. So attacking doesn't really do enough right here. Now, if I could have played Silverheart this turn, then that's a little different. I could have maybe stolen this game, actually. Just surprised the opponent with extra damage, but I'm going to attack this turn because here's the deal. I can make another blocker. I get 5 damage off, and if my opponent just does something crazy and for some reason attacks in with both of them, then I can play Silverheart next turn and surprise our opponent and steal the win. I don't think our opponent's going to do that, though. I mean, there's no reason for them to attack with Terastodon and leave themselves open, so I'd be very shocked if they did that. Okay, there's Pack Rat. As long as they keep Terastodon back, they won this. Yeah. Because they can block. Even if I can get the Advocate, well, no, I only have 4 lands, so I can't even get the Advocate up. Yeah. Well, they attacked Garrick, though, which gives me a little more time, but I don't think it's enough. I can't even cast Primeval Titan, so I can cast Silverheart, but here's the deal. I can buff one of the 2/2s, which is nice. But I think the most I can get across is 4 damage. Because the 2/2 becomes a 6/6. They block that with Terastodon. They block the 4/4 Elephant with Pack Rat. And I can get by with 4 damage, and then I'm dead. So, yeah, they got us. Although, I'll play it out, because, I mean, they did concede randomly in game 1, so who knows what will happen. But they really should have beat us in game 1, so this should have really been game here, but yeah, there's nothing more we can do. Well, I do have to keep a blocker back too, so I can't really get them down 2. I can't get them down to 1. Because if I attack with... I need to hold the Sylvan Advocate back to block. Although that is Vigilance, so I guess I could have attacked with that, and yeah, that would have put them down. Well, they got something, or else they wouldn't have done this. Yeah, I should have attacked with the Advocate, though. That was a mistake. That would have put them down to 1. But let's see if it matters. Oh, I guess it doesn't, because I'm at 4. And they have Dread Return to the Graveyard, so yeah, they win. But yeah, what I should have done there is attacked with the Advocate as well. They'd be down to 1. And then if they didn't have a answer like this, I actually would have won the game, but they obviously did. So I don't feel too bad about that mistake. But yeah, I should have attacked with that, with Vigilance. But they got us. So, okay, that really should have been the game right there. I'm not sure why they conceded the first game when they did, but maybe they just hit the wrong button. I don't know. Or maybe they didn't realize Terastodon could hit our stuff right away. Maybe they realized that later. I don't know. So, all right, game 3, we'll be on the play. We really have to kind of steal one. And this is a fine hand, though. I like having Face Fetters. That's actually really good in this matchup. There's the answer I was trying to think of that we had. We did have something for Dragon Lord Atarka. And I don't mind having... I mean, this hand has 3 lands in it. And the Hierarch, I don't mind that necessarily, because if the Hierarch gets wiped out, then we still have a decent mana base here. I mean, casting the white might be a little awkward. Harmonize will help, though. I guess I actually probably should have played my forest first, and I could have attacked him for 1 this turn, but... Entomb, there we go. Since I don't have a... Since I didn't have a 2-drop, but again, I still had a draw, so I don't actually hate what I did there, because if I got the 2-drop, I might have wanted to play it. If it was the Sylvan Advocate, I actually probably would have wanted to play that over the Noble Hierarch, but... Alright, I'm going to play the Tireless Tracker here. This is 3-2. And I have Face Fetters up now at this point, so if our opponent just uses Necromancy or Animate Dead or something like that, I can Face Fetter the creature. If that's the case, I want to start just hitting in as hard as I can quickly. So one of their options too is Reanimate. Ooh, wow, okay. Say Reanimate gives them life loss too. So what are we discarding? Oh no, yeah. Oh, sacrificing. Yeah, that hurts. Okay, we're not going to be able to beat down. We can take Liliana out, though, so that's kind of a big deal. And having Jermoka's Command's kind of nice, too, in case we are in a situation where we can fight to take something out. Alright, let's not keep her around. Let's get rid of that situation. Alright. Could crack the clue, but I'd rather just play a threat. Because again, the way we're winning this is just damage as early and often as we can. We just have to outrun the broken stuff our opponent's deck can do. So, we'll see if we can. Necrotel. Okay. So that will get rid of Advocate. And gives our opponent 2-1 first striker. But I think our opponent's not really into beating us down with a 2-1 first striker. I think they have bigger plans than that. So. Another answer again to Necromancy. So now, even if they Dredge Return, like, I can Faith Fetters that. If they Necromancy, I have the Pride Mage. Let's just draw some cards here and maybe find some more land. There we go. Okay, that's good. So, defensively, we have a good position. We just don't have any way of hurting our opponent at this point. So, we just need to get a threat that's credible. Here we go. Dread Return. And that's dangerous too because it can be flashbacked. Okay, Emrakul, which we can deal with. We have an answer to. But it's not a great answer considering it's Dread Return because now Emrakul is going to sit on the battlefield. Our opponent has to play one creature. They play Pack Rat and they can Dredge Return again. Although they don't have any targets, right? So they would have to get another target in the graveyard for that to work for them. But it doesn't seem like they're having a hard time with that. They just need a Buried Alive, and they're there. Alright, again, we have the answer. It's going to take up our turn to do it, but we have the answer. Gain a little life here, too. I guess that's alright. Really need a threat, though, sooner than later. And here comes Buried Alive. So let's see if our opponent could technically play another creature with their 3 mana and Dread Return right now. And if they get Trastodon, they could hit our land and our Hierarch. Yeah, and we'd be in trouble. Let's see if that happens or not. Looks like it might. Oh, Victimize. Okay, and that works too. Emrakul to Victimize. And they're going to get the Massacre Worm and Trastodon. So, I think that's game. Yeah, our opponent's got a good deck. If we could have got an earlier threat out... they're just going all in, taking out our land and our creatures. If we could have got an earlier threat out, maybe we could have put some pressure on them so they couldn't make such big plays and leaving their creatures tapped. But yeah, we just didn't get there. Like if we got Primeval Titan or Worm Coil or something like that, maybe we had a chance. But I can't even cast this. I know, can't cast anything. I can crack a clue, I guess. But I think it's too little too late. See if we get a land. Nope, regrowth. Alright. Nothing really. I mean, we could regrow. We can't really do anything. We can regrow stuff we can't cast, I guess. So there you go. Just make sure there's no options in there, but no, there are not. Okay. Alright, so this turn, what we're going to have to chump block the 2 big creatures. Gives us another turn, but at this point, too little, too late. Again, I'll play it out a little bit. Okay. Wow. So our opponent did randomly concede game 1, so we're just going to see. Yeah, really, this should already be over. They should have beat us in game 1 and game 2, and then... Wow. Now they're just going for style points. Dragon Lord of Tarka. The thing is, though, when these cubes, there's such powerful cards. I mean, you really shouldn't hold back. Granted, I don't have a whole lot of mana on board, but you never know. All right, so it looks like that is going to be game. I can block one thing here, but we'll be dead next turn. So this is a league, though. We do have another couple rounds we can play, and I like this deck. I want to see what it can do. I think it actually, this was a rough matchup, but I think it could do well against other decks. So we'll play it out and see what we draw here. I won't do it. All right. So I guess that's that. I will see you in round 2, and hopefully we'll come up against a matchup that's a little better for us. All right, this is round 2. We are on the play. And yeah, this is a actually decent hand. I can keep this. We got turn 1 Hierarch, turn 2 Elder, turn 3 Garrick. We can get Deranged Hermit out pretty quick too. So yeah, this is actually a pretty explosive hand. This is the type of hand we really needed in the last round. But that's all right. All right, we're up against some aggro burn maybe. So that could be rough. I mean, here's the good news though. I'm glad to see the haste creature as opposed to them taking out our Noble Hierarch turn 1. But there's a good chance the Hierarch's not going to survive past the next turn. So we want to take advantage of it as quickly as possible. Worm Coil, that's a pretty good draw. I'm starting to worry a little bit now about this strategy, considering we don't have the lands to back it up. We have the ability to get one more land with Elder. That's cool. Garrick can untap our lands. Fantastic. That could get us to Worm Coil, but if we start getting hit with direct damage and we lose Noble Hierarch or lose Garrick, then we might be in trouble. So I don't know. We'll see. But again, though, if our opponent does that, they've used kind of 1-for-1 resources on us, which isn't the end of the world as long as we can get some. Oh, here we go. There's Roast. As long as we can get some lands that we can draw into. But I saw that one coming. That was definitely going to happen. All right. So we'll attack. We can block with the Elder. I can get a land. If I draw a land, I can actually play Garrick next turn. And the following turn, I can play Wormcoil Engine if Garrick can survive. That would be the best case scenario for us. So let's go ahead and get our planes. We got all our mana colors back. We might need that later for the wake. But we really need to draw a land. Our opponent, I mean, they are down to 5 cards. I mean, they use some resources to take out the Noble Hierarch. That could be good to have later. But it is not a land. So that's awkward. So we got no play this turn. I mean, I do have Dromoka's Command up if I need it, but the opponent's not doing a whole lot either. Just attacking in for 1 so far. You would think if they had a burn spell or something, they would use it for the prowess. So they didn't have a play. We drew a land. That was good. So they're going running a little slow too. Play Garrick. And I mean, our opponent can hit Garrick for potentially 1 if they can get a direct damage spell, hit him for more, and then 2 from the creature. That could be pretty bad. But we're going to at least get Garrick up to 4 here. And I have Dromoka's Command up, so that actually can help protect us. So that actually could work. So they can nullify an instant or sorcery. So if they try to do direct damage, I think we're still okay. Just hit us for a 1. I'm a little surprised they're not playing anything. Maybe they're more of a big red deck. Like maybe Inferno Titan. Maybe a Tarka, that type of stuff. I don't know. A little surprised we haven't seen anything more than we've seen. Alright, but the good news is Wurmcoil is excellent in this matchup. Aggressive decks just have a hard time dealing with Wurmcoil because of the lifelink and the fact that even if they can like burn it out or something, it turns into 2 other creatures and lifelink's still on the table. So that puts us in a really good spot. Now, granted, they got 5 mana and 5 cards in their hands, so I don't know, maybe they're flooded or else they're working up to something big. That's decent. I mean, it's not great for them, though. They can kill Garrick. I mean, that's good for them. And it can get bigger eventually, but we're going to be gaining a lot of life right now. Even if they held that creature back, they can't even double block our Wurmcoil Engine. And if they do, that's not economical. So yeah, they're going to get rid of Garrick. That's smart, I think. That's the best move they can play. But we're going to attack in for 6. Even if they chump it, we're getting 6 life. That puts us in a nice spot. I mean, I could hold back Jamoka's Command, but I don't really feel like I need to protect Wurmcoil Engine all that much. I could play Mirari's Wake. That would give us a +1/+1 on Wurmcoil. I get another point of life. And that means next turn I can play Deranged Hermit and my Elf. That's actually pretty good in whatever else we draw into, perhaps. And then the following turn I can easily pay for the Echo cost on the Hermit. So yeah, I think that's the play. And we'll attack. So that puts us at 25. I think Sun Titan. Okay, that's actually perfect. Because what we can do now is we can fight. We can put a +1/+1 counter on Wurmcoil. Fight the Titan. We'll gain 8 life just from that move right there. Then maybe we can't. Well, they're going to attack with the dragon, so we can attack. Because our Wurmcoil is going to take 2 damage. Our opponent's tapped out. And the blocker can only do 1 damage. Or is going to have 2 damage to give, and the blocker's only going to do 1 damage. So we can actually, this could be a huge turn. We also get Primeval Titan. That's awesome. That would also be a good play too. But I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to simply Jamoka's Command. We're just going to gain a ton of life and just decimate our opponent's board state. Fight. Attack. I think our opponent's going to have to chump, but we're still going to gain another 8 life when they do. We'll play Primeval Titan. Gives us more lands. I can actually just search up a couple creature lands. And just keep the pressure on. Because that way, even if our opponent comes out with some sort of board sweep, our creature lands will be able to finish them off at this point. And they're real easy to activate with Mirari's Wake, so that's kind of awesome. And we'll attack. I assume they're going to chump here, unless they're just really desperate for board state. Yeah, okay. Next turn we have Hermit Druid. So puts us at 37 life. I mean, we can take hits from the dragon all day long. And the dragon can chump block, I guess, Wurmcoil Engine. Or Prime Time. Actually, I think the dragon can Monstrous now, right? Our opponent doesn't have a better play. Because they have 7 mana up. But even so, it doesn't help them that much. Because it's a 7/7, it still dies to Wurmcoil Engine at this point. They're going to leave it back. Harmonize. Wow, this is a good draw for us. It says Death Touch, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hold back the Titan just to be safe. I mean, one way we could lose this game is potentially having something take out our creatures. If our opponent somehow can exile, like maybe Path Exile or something like that. I don't know if that's in the queue. It probably is, because Swords of Plowshares is. Say they can get rid of our Wormcoil Engine by exiling it and somehow get rid of our Titan. That's how we lose this game. So I'm not going to take unnecessary chances. I mean, we pretty much won. Yep, all right. And we'll go to the next game. So, sideboard-wise, I don't know. We didn't really see all that much. I mean, we saw the dragon. We saw roast. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to run this back, I think. I mean, nothing like artifact or enchantment-wise I was concerned with or anything like that. Our sideboard's not super deep. And I don't think Dragonlord of Tarka is great in this matchup. Nor, I mean, Trestodon would have been alright, but again, we wouldn't have cast it. And if our opponent has a more aggressive deck and just got some bad draws last time, then Trestodon might not be good. So I'm just going to keep what we got. And this is a little different. I mean, Student is a much more aggressive start than we saw last time even. So maybe our opponent just got some bad draws. Our hand's great, though. I'm happy with it. Even though it feels a little mana heavy, we have Harmonize to balance it out, so I'm good with that. Potentially, Garrett could be a thing, and Jamoka's Command also good, as we saw in this matchup last game. Of course, we keep drawing lands, is what it is. But here's my thought on this, too. Even though next turn, I'm assuming we don't draw something that's better for us, I am going to Harmonize, even if I have to discard a couple forests, because really at that point, why not? I think I'd have to discard one forest more than likely, so, but I have more than enough. I'm not worried about that. And we're kind of taking a beating here. We're already down to 15, so, and we're taking next turn off too to play the Harmonize, which is going to put us down even further. So that's not good. Although our opponent did miss a land drop, and they only can pump one white into Student right at this point per turn. If they drop another planes, then 2, and that could get kind of deadly. These are good draws, though. Wormcoil Engine, again, huge, as we saw last game. Nis is good because it's able to create a lot of blockers. She can throw down those planet tokens for us, so that's great. And like I said, we do have to discard, so we'll get rid of a forest. I think that's fine. I mean, on one hand, now I'm starting to wonder... Like, we got some pretty big things to ramp into here, like Wormcoil. But even so, I'm not worried. And it gives us 4 forests, and we also have the Wildwood. So, yeah, we're good. But we are going to take a little bit of a hit here. Takes us down to 12. Our opponent missed another land drop, though. Now, if our opponent didn't miss those land drops and was able to play a turn 3, turn 4 creature, we probably lost this game. We got a little lucky here, I think, more than anything, because our start was real slow, and their start was pretty good, considering they only had the 2 mana. Now, at least we can play out some blockers. So, I like this plan here. Let's just put Nissa out. We're going to put blockers out at this point, because here we go. I don't want to block with my mana birds, but if I had to, I could block with the elves and the plant token, but we're not there yet. Like, I can block the Student with the plant token and maybe take 1 or 2 from Monastery Swift Spear and be fine with that. Oh, Mizium Mortars, okay. Can take out the birds, which is a smart move. Keeps us off any other color but green at this point, which... does slow down things if we wanted to get to. Garrick takes us off of Jamoka's temporarily. But ultimately, we want to get to Wormcoil Engine. That's the game we're playing right now. So, and we're actually there. So, I'm pretty happy with that. And a nice draw, too, with Thrun. Good follow-up play next turn, perhaps. Now we can start gaining some of that life back. And again, our opponent's stuck on 2 mana, so we got a little lucky here maybe, but there's a 3rd mana. See if they can do anything. I'll level up again. But at this rate, you can't really attack now because of Wormcoil. unless they have Lightning Strike or something like that in their hand, they could attack, try to bait us into blocking, and then finish off the Wurmcoil, but they didn't. They almost probably should have attacked there because it would have been a free attack, but I mean, they could still do it on this side, on the flip side, because, I mean, sure, I'm going to attack with the Wurmcoil. And that way, too, they could double block, and if they have something that's only doing 2 damage, that would also kill the Wurmcoil. So maybe I don't attack with the Wurmcoil. Maybe I just wait next turn and attack with Thrun. Because I have blockers for days, right? Like, I can block, if I needed to, both these creatures with plant tokens. I mean, why risk my Wurmcoil Engine? I mean, board state, we're way ahead. So that's my thought process here. Wurmcoil Engine could have gone in, gotten blocked, and gotten burned out. And yes, I still would have had the 2/3/3s. That probably still would have been good enough. But this turn, I can attack in with Thrun. And also, too, I feel like if they had that, they would have done it. They would have done something last turn. I don't think they would have just sat on a burn spell for 2 turns if I didn't react to it. So maybe they think they're going to keep bluffing me. And now, you know what? If something happens to Wurmcoil at this point, I don't care anymore because I'll get the 3/3s and I have Thrun. So, and I have Deranged Hermit now, too. So, yeah, it looks like they didn't have anything. But I like our line there. I don't think we run into a potential burn spell with our Wurmcoil Engine at that point in the game. I think we hold back a little bit. We have board state advantage. We go in with Thrun and get to the point where we have Thrun and we have another threat on the board with Deranged Hermit. And then we can be a little more loose with something happens to one of our creatures like Wurmcoil Engine. It's not the end of the world. So I think I really like that line. And now, I mean, this is just cleanup at this point with all the tokens and everything. We should be fine, especially considering we can give all the tokens +1/+1 next turn. So yeah, our opponent got stuck on mana there. That was kind of sad. I think this could have been a better match, but our opponent actually could have probably blown us out early if they could have gotten a 3rd or 4th creature quickly, but it's the game sometimes. So we'll go on to round 3, see if we can at least win the 3rd round. All right, this is round 3. We are on the draw for the first game, and I like our hand. So, oh, okay. Looks like we're in the mirror matchup here. All right, but we'll just do the same thing. How about that? Dueling Birds of Paradise. So our opponent could be playing a similar deck. They could be playing maybe a harder ramp deck that's going to bigger things. Wow, looks like a very similar deck. I love our draw, though. I mean, between Birds of Paradise, especially against these colors, it feels really good. We can put out some stuff quickly. We have Nissa, who's been really great for us up until this point. We have a few options here. I think the one I like, though, the most is just simply running out Nissa and just starting to work her counters up. Because here's the deal. I can throw out a plant token, nice little blocker if I need it later, and I can start accumulating blockers in case they do start playing some big green creatures or something. And then I start working to the possibility of the ultimate, which her ultimate's really realistic, and it's actually very good. I mean, the life gain and the card draw can be huge for you, so I like it. In this turn, we're just going to go ahead and get rid of that mana bird, because here's the deal. They haven't been able to cash shit in yet for anything. We're not going to let them. And I'm not sure what colors they're playing or whatnot, but at the very least, we'll put them back a turn with that. So I think that's a pretty good play on our part. Savannah, okay. Still nothing really odd. Now we run into Harmonize, which is awesome for card advantage for us. I mean, we still haven't put a good threat out on the board, technically. But we have Wolf here. So, I don't know. We got a lot of stuff going on. Just put another token. I'm just going to try to ultimate her. And considering this board state, I'm not going to ultimate her at 7. I'll just wait another turn and try to keep using her. And yeah, might as well let's just draw the cards. There's no threat on the board. Let's just set ourselves up for a real good situation. And we're 1 mana off Silver Heart, or else I would have played that. Okay, yeah, I like this card a lot, actually. Whisperwood Elemental is great. Like, that would have been really good in our deck if we saw it in the draft. We didn't, but that's a real fine card. And it starts matching up with our token generation, too, which, I mean, we're kind of ahead right now on board state and card advantage, so I like our positioning, but, I mean, that does keep up with us, and we don't have a lot of clear answers to that card. I mean, yes, we can get Dromoka's Command to fight it at some point, but there's not a lot of other great answers in our deck for that card, so it's one to watch. What I will do, though, is I want to flip Garrick, so I'm going to get rid of the 2/2. I'm going to flip Garrick, and then I'm going to make Death Touch creatures, which I think is at least a way, if nothing else, to keep the Elemental off our back, and maybe even sneak in for a little bit of damage here and there, so I like it. And again, we're going to bring Nissa up to 7 at this point. I'm going to try to keep her alive, though. And we are starting to draw a lot of cards, so we want to be careful not to deck ourselves either. So that is another thing we got to consider. I'm going to pair the Silver Heart here, of course, with Mana Birds, because the Mana Birds can get back for damage, and really nothing else can at this point. So one option is I could have made the Wolf token a 6/6, and I could have attacked in for a little more damage. My opponent would not have blocked it, and then next turn they could double block or wait a couple more turns and just chump block or what have you in the meantime. So I don't think that would have been good. I think giving the extra power and toughness to the flyer was the way to go, and obviously that was the right choice now that Elspeth has hit the table with 3 tokens, so there you are. So they have the token generation. We need to get rid of Elspeth, though. So that's our key concern at this point, because Elspeth can actually start to take over this board state more so than even we can keep up, unfortunately. We could make 2 tokens a turn. Our opponent is making 4 tokens a turn right now. So what we're going to do, I'm going to up Nissa one more time. Let's get a Death Toucher out there, and I'm going to attack Elspeth in the air. Bring her down to 1. I don't have a way to get rid of her right now. When it comes to the next few turns, I mean, I have Tireless Tracker, but again, I need to start thinking about perhaps decking myself, so I want to be kind of careful. Advocate will be good for us too, but again, it's maybe a tad small to deal with the board state right now, even with the +2/+2, but it's still good. And our creature land has reach if that becomes applicable at some point. I'm also going to attack with the Silver Heart because I can. I mean, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They can kill it if they want to, but they're basically decimating their board state to do it. I think they're going to chump block it, but that's fine. Like, it's not doing anything else for me, so that is just okay. And we get Elspeth down to 1. Their opponent will get 1 more activation, but then we should be able to get rid of her. What we didn't want to happen is for her to get rid of creatures with 4 power, because then we would have lost the birds, and that's really the biggest advantage we have right now. Now, our opponent would have lost their 4/4, which I don't think they want to do either, but if they don't have an answer to our flyer, we might just be able to win off that and just gum up the rest of the board state. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. They seem to have all the mana they can need at this point. Theriatusk, okay, that's fine. Again, good card if they got it out early, but at this point, it's not doing a whole lot. Another option is I could give everything +1/+1 and just try to jam in, but I think there's an inherent risk to that, especially if our opponent has some sort of like overrun style effect or something like that. We'll lose that race. And they have all the mana in the world. Granted, they only have 1 card. And getting rid of Elspeth, I think, needs to be top priority. Prime Time's a good draw here, though. But again, Prime Time actually, we have to be careful because we're drawing a bunch of cards here. And Prime Time could deck us too. The other thing I like about just doing the ultimate for Nissa now, besides gaining the life, besides getting the cards, is gaining the life, because it's not a ton of life. It's 7 against a green deck, but it could be the difference if the matchup gets really close. So we drew a lot of land, but we did get Garrick. That's huge, actually. I think in this matchup, because if something happens to our Birds of Paradise, and our opponent did slow down the clock too by gaining some life back, what we're going to do now is get rid of Elspeth. But from this point forward, the plan is birds are going to try to crash in and beat our opponent. If our opponent can deal with the birds, Garrick's a backup, because if we can ultimate Garrick in this gummed up board state, then that's a win condition. And if our opponent can deal with Garrick, we hang on to the regrowth to bring him back and try it again. That's basically the only way we're going to win this, I think, and not just run out of time at some point, because that's what I'm afraid of. I'm behind on clock too. I need to play faster, but at this point it might be too late. So that's the plan. Crash in with the birds, get Garrick online and going. Yes, I will have to... I'm not going to play Prime Time because I don't want to dig more. I'm down to 16 cards on my deck. I don't need to dig any more cards out of my deck. We're just going with Garrick. Apex Predator for the win here, I think. See what our opponent does. They're doing something big here. I mean, they could have a Day of Judgment too. Oh, Quarantine Field. That's okay. That's not too bad. I mean, what are they going to get rid of? Probably Garrick. Everything else just tokens. Wolfie. Birds of Paradise. Get rid of Garrick and Birds of Paradise, right? That's what I do, probably. That's what they did. All right. There you go. So that takes away our plan to get rid of, to just win by the birds. Although we do have ways to get rid of the, those are on our sideboard though. So we do have Dramoka's Command. I guess that would do it too. As long as they don't have any other enchantments they play between now and then. So there is a way to get rid of that, which is fine, but that's okay too, because even if we don't, we have plan B. So I think we move all in on plan B. And what's nice about Garrick in the meantime, while he builds up, is we can deal with any Planeswalker threats that come up. And also it gives us 3/3 Death Touchers, which just keeps growing the board state, which is nice. So let's get him going. I'll just make a token. There's no creature we need to destroy. I mean, I don't want to minus him. I mean, you could argue that opponent might be in a bad place without their elemental, but I don't think it's worth the risk. Especially considering, again, time is a consideration now in this game. We need to win this one as fast as we can. If we lose this game, we might not be able to go 3 games time-wise, if their games are all going to end up like this. So we do kind of have to win this one. And then hopefully pull out a fast win. And don't let the board state get to this point next time. It's getting crazy, though. So another option too, I just build Nissa up a little more, and to the point where I can start putting +1/+1 counters on everything. And that way I might be able to actually win a battle of the board state. But it's tough, because if I attack them with everything and they can block a number of things and they have some sort of trample effect or even a Day of Judgment or something later on in the game, it could put me behind. There's no reason to risk that if I have a win condition that's just ticking up with Garrick. So I think right now the answer is just hang back, have a plan C, and that's Nissa, and +1/+1 counters, but hopefully we won't have to get there. Thron's a good creature to have. At least they can regenerate if there was a board sweep or something like that. That's actually pretty good. We haven't hit our Wormcoil Engine, which is another good board sweep resistant card. Tireless Tracker. Can't really crack those clues either. We're down to 14 cards. Our opponent has 20 in the deck. I mean, I have a little leeway where I could crack a couple clues if I thought it would help me, but I don't. I want to be careful, because if something happens to Garrick and we have to regrow Garrick and build the counters back up again, that's going to take time, and I don't want to take any unnecessary risks. Because right now we're winning this game. Okay. Make another plant. Cards are getting too small now to even know what they are anymore. Okay, I wasn't worried about their Nissa because they're just making plants, and yes, I mean, it's not cool if they draw a bunch of cards with Nissa, but I'm ahead when it comes to my Garrick activation. I almost rather just have the Death Touchers around for the board state. So last turn, that was really the choice as opposed to going after Nissa. But Ajani is different. Ajani can give something flying, and that makes me a little nervous. So I will take out Ajani. I'm not worried about Nissa. Like I said, we're just ahead on Nissa. She's a little too late to the party. But it's good to know they have Nissa, though. I mean, our Nissa's already kind of done the damage, but I don't like Ajani hanging around there. So we're going to get rid of him. And next turn, I probably could get rid of Nissa. I mean, I don't want them to ultimate Nissa. That's the only concern. I don't care about the plant tokens, and I don't even care if they get a +1/+1 counter. Because, again, we're just ahead of that game. I'm going to go ahead and start thinking about Plan C, though. And putting the +1/+1 counters on everything, just in case. Especially considering they have their own Nissa. I mean, depending on what I want to do. I also have Dramoka's Command, but I don't think I need to use it at this point. I mean, I don't really care about that quarantine field. And again, it's just a nice reserve in case something goes wrong that I'm not anticipating. And we're almost there now with Garrick, so yeah, that Soul Bond, giving something double strike and all of a sudden it flying in my face doesn't feel good to me. That Ajani had to go. Okay. That's not that bad. I mean, yeah, they can hit us a little bit here, but they got rid of a plant token, I guess. I don't know. They just don't have a lot of, well, I like Pelucanos, again, as a beater. Like, it's a cheap beater, a 5/5 for 4. But aside from that, like, the ability isn't too impressive, at least in a lot of matchups. That's why left him in the sideboard. Alright, yeah, Soul Bond. We're down to, what, 12 cards? Okay. Make another plant. And let's end this game, hopefully, here. Alright, we'll give the emblem. Now all our creatures get +5/+5 and trample when they attack our opponent. We'll just attack with everything. Although I probably shouldn't. Well, oh well. I'm just going to attack with everything. I have 2 blockers left behind if I needed them. I can't imagine our opponent having an answer to this with they have 1 mana open. So, that should do it. Wow. It's a lot of damage. -110. Ouch. Alright. Well, we got there, but that game did take us a long time, and we are behind on clock. So we only have to win 1 more, but preferably we want to win this one as quickly as possible. So, okay. That game was actually pretty awesome. That was crazy. A lot of fun. I mean, I could bring in the Pride Mage to deal with the quarantine. I think that's fine. I'm just going to take out the Elder. I mean, we had plenty of land. And our opponent, this type of matchup, like, we're going to have time to get into our land. I'm going to bring in Trastodon, too, because I would have liked to have been able to deal with, say, the Elemental earlier, and our opponent's got Planeswalkers and stuff like that. So, I think that's actually good in this matchup. And again, we have time to get there. Like, this isn't a aggro deck we're playing against. We have plenty of time to build a board state if we need to. So we want to be able to hit big haymakers with this deck in this matchup. Our opponent will have the ability to do the same. So we want to make sure our big plays are bigger than our opponent's big plays. This is 2 mana heavy. I'm going to mulligan that. This I like a lot, actually. This is perfect. Especially with Overgrown Tomb, we'll keep that on top. This is a nice hand. We can go turn 1 Hierarch or Elves, whichever we want. And we quickly get to Nissa and hopefully quickly get into Wormcoil. And we'll be in a good place. So I'm happy with that. Now, if I draw, say, a Forest or something, I just played Elves just in case they had some way to early get rid of my creature. I'd rather have them get rid of Elves than Hierarch. Hierarch would have kind of been basically the same idea there, though. Nissa, I want to play. If I didn't draw the Forest, I would have just played the Overgrown Tomb, taking the 2, because I think Nissa is that important to get on board fast. So here we go. But I don't want this game to be last game. We want to get to Wormcoil. And we're actually real close, as long as our opponent doesn't surprise us with anything. But these colors, I mean, our land should be relatively safe. It puts out a nice little beater, though. It could hurt us a little bit early on. We also have Garruk in our hand. If things do get out of hand, we could go with that plan. But again, we have to be careful with the quarantine. Our opponent may have even sideboarded more hate against Planeswalkers after that last game, too. So you have to be cognizant of that, but I think we're good. Next turn, I can actually, assuming our mana dorks live, I can actually play the Tomb untapped and cast Wormcoil. That's a nice soulbound there, especially once our opponent gets to 6. What's nice for us, though, is we do have the chump blockers with the plant tokens, and I'll chump block those all day if I need to. But our opponent's going to outrun that if they keep attacking you with 2 double strikers every turn. But they're not going to outrun, though. At least not as quickly. This Wormcoil engine. So, alright. Here we go. Garruk Wildspeaker, also a nice draw because it buys us more time to put blockers out there if need be, which again, for our opponent, all of a sudden plays Whisperwood Elemental again. Oh, Banisher Priest, okay. That's nice for them. So that does take the Wormcoil off the board and gives them another creature. So it kind of puts them ahead a little bit here. I mean, we have ways to deal with that and get our creature back. Yeah, I don't want anything to happen to Nissa, so I'm just going to block as long as I can here. It's a nice mana ramp, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I can actually play Garruk now, as long as I can keep Garruk alive, which I should be able to, because Garruk can make a token, and Nissa can make a token. And if I have to block with my elves or something, then I do it. At least early on. And I just try to ride Garruk to victory again. It's not a stable win condition. Again, if they have an answer to Garruk, at some point here, then it kind of is what it is. But it's still a good card in the meantime because, again, it does create tokens for me. And it seems like that's the name of this matchup, is just making tokens chump block until you can hit your opponent with a big haymaker. It's also nice control against their planeswalkers that they may want to put out. And I have the backup Garrick. I mean, if something happens to this Garrick, it's another way to create creatures or even ramp mana if I needed to. So if I end up chumping with my elves and stuff, it doesn't matter as much. Opponent's got 4 cards, though. I mean, we're down to 1 card in our hand. They could have some plays potentially here. So they got the 4/5. I'm going to attack with this, though, huh? 4/5 double strike. Oh, they're attacking. Alright, that's interesting, because what I could do here, unless they have a trick up their sleeve, which they might have a combat trick, but I'm just going for it. I can chump block the 4/5, and I can actually trade the Soul Bond creature, which is going to take the double strike away from the 4/5 Vigilance. Wow, that worked out. I thought for sure they had a combat trick. I wanted to go for it, though, regardless. So they could have also been bluffing us. And again, I want to win this fast. I mean, we're down to almost 9 minutes now. Gee, okay. So we have to... So if we lose this game, we're probably in trouble trying to win a third game. If we can keep the wall up around Garrick, we could get there. And now I have regrowth too, so if they do kill Garrick, I can get Garrick back from the graveyard. Now if they quarantine him, then that doesn't help matters, but... Lotus Cobra, that's fine. I think our opponent might be flooded at this point. I mean, playing our Lotus Cobra with that much mana on the board means they don't have a whole lot else to do. Alright, they are coming in, and we're just going to block. Just going to chump block there and kill the Lotus Cobra. I mean, I don't know, either way, probably be fine. I could trade, but this gives me an extra blocker just to keep Garrick as safe as possible, I guess. Alright. And I'm going to play this Matador because it's actually going to be a 6/6 trampler next turn. I'm going to attack here. I have enough blockers. I'm not worried. I'm going to make my opponent at least think about what to do there. I mean, that maybe was unnecessary. And alright, we got there. So this was actually a pretty cool deck. I had a lot of fun with it. Lost round 1, but did really good in round 2 and 3. Round 1 was a bad matchup for us with Reanimation, but we got a free game out of it, if nothing else. So hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see y'all later. Have a great day. Hey, thanks as always for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.